We had the bracket reveal on Sunday. Oregon won the Pac-12 championship on Saturday night. We all knew they were going to the tournament, just waiting to see what seed they would get and who they would be playing. And we found out, 11 seed taking on the 6 seed South Carolina Gamecocks. The Fighting Cocks are taking on the Oregon Ducks. And let's go down to South Carolina to preview the game now with our friend Marc Ryan, the fan Upstate, at Marc Ryan on air on Twitter. Marc, good morning to you, man. It's great to have you on the show. I'll start with, what's just the reaction been down there? I know, Oregon and South Carolina don't have a lot of history playing each other in hoops. There are some familiar faces on the teams. What's the reaction from South Carolina fan at the matchup against Oregon?
Well, I'll tell you, no one here can even believe what's going on, guys, because it's been 26 years since both Clemson and South Carolina were in the tournament. So it's like this state is now invited to a party that they're normally neglected by. It's just a super odd realization over this way.
Oregon, how do you like that matchup?
Like everyone else, I don't for the Gamecocks. And Folly Dante and company, man, 6'11" beast, reminds some of a young Akeem Olajuwon. It seems to me, though, that because everyone is picking this as their most likely upset, you wonder if the pendulum swings back in favor of South Carolina. Look, guys, what Lamont Paris has done, he's a National Coach of the Year candidate. He's essentially put together a roster compiled of the island of misfit toys and got them to gel together immediately overnight to become a top 15 team in America. Now, I would say about South Carolina, how many of us know who we are? How many of us know exactly who we are? Well, many of us think we're sports cars. We're actually station wagons. South Carolina knows they're a station wagon, and they play that way, and they slow you down. They're the blue-collar job in the white-collar neighborhood, and they do a wonderful job at that, slowing you down, playing great defense. They do a better job, guys, of getting you to play their style than just about any other team in America.
We're talking about Marc Ryan from South Carolina, previewing Oregon in South Carolina. That game is on Thursday, 1 o'clock out here Pacific. You can hear it right here on The Fan, the opening day of the NCAA tournament. We're very honest this time of year, Marc. We're not the biggest college basketball guys. We all get into it. It's March Madness, and you fill out your bracket. You get kind of swept up in the fever, and then you kind of go back to not caring about it. So we're honest that we don't watch a lot of college basketball. I have not seen South Carolina play a single game all year. I've done some read-ups. You mentioned they're kind of that team that's feisty and works hard. Who are the names? What do we need to know outside of this is just a team that works their tails off? What are the what's the Spark Notes version of South Carolina basketball?
Yeah, man, exactly that. So Meechie Johnson and B.J. Mack are the two upperclassmen guys. They don't light you on fire. They average 72 points a game, give up 67. That, to me, is the interesting matchup, guys, with Oregon coming in averaging 75 points a game. Who's going to win their style? That battle of wills is ultimately going to determine the winner in this game, in my opinion. So Meechie Johnson, B.J. Mack, they're a really good three-point shooting team, and again, they get you to play their style. So I'm going to be looking for the battle of wills there. Who wins the battle of wills? Is it South Carolina? Is it Oregon in this game? Who gets the other to play their style? That's going to be what is super key in this one.
Is it? I don't know if South Carolina fan thinks this way, but you think resonated with them that it's easier to be good in basketball than it is for them to be good in football in that conference?
Well, I'll tell you what, they haven't been good at football in this conference.
Right.
And that is a sore spot. We were having the debate on our show locally, is South Carolina now a basketball school? You might imagine that went over like a lead balloon with many Gamecock fans, but don't feel bad. Most things do with those people. They lead the nation in ejections from their stadium. They're a very unruly, uncouth bunch. And I'll tell you what, they're just glad to have something to cheer for. We've also asked, are they more excited about the women's tournament or the men's tournament? What's more likely, the men go to the Sweet 16 or the women win the national championship? So it is interesting because Lamont Paris is doing a lot of things that Shane Beamer is not.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, this is kind of a bizarre world matchup. We almost got it in women's hoops in the COVID year. South Carolina was loaded. Oregon had Sabrina Ionescu.
Yep.
Tournament canceled. And then both these teams were in the Final Four the same year, and they lost their matchup. It's like a bizarre world game that we haven't necessarily seen. Why do those fans down there insist on calling themselves the real USC? I've never understood that.
No, neither have I, guys. Neither have I. I've been here for about 5 years. In 49 states, USC means Southern Cal. In 49 states, Carolina means North Carolina.
Yeah.
But, my friends, denial is not just a river in Egypt, and they're living in it over this way.
What have you made of the fans since you got over there?
What have I made of the fan or the fans?
No, the fans, the South Carolina Gamecock fans. They sound like an interesting group of people.
90% of them are super great people. The bottom 10% of that fan base, guys, is the worst subsection of any fan base I have ever encountered in my life. They will stop at nothing to try to get to you. But, brother, you cannot cut through me. I am impervious to them. And I absolutely love that. I bring it on. I welcome all the insults. And believe you me, I get a lot of them. They've been kicked a lot, guys. They've been kicked.
Yeah. Last one for you. Let's touch on a sweet spot for you. Does Billy Napier make it through the year?
Oh, gosh. Somebody knows I'm a Gator. Somebody knows I'm a Gator on this line. Let me tell you what. Guys, 9 out of 12 opponents are in the top 25.
Yeah.
This schedule, and in life, guys, there are reasons and there are excuses, okay? This is a reason. At least that's what I'm telling myself to make myself feel better. 9 out of 12 teams, top 25. The most difficult schedule in the history of college football. 6-6 would be a miracle, which doesn't sit well with Florida fans. I'd like to see him succeed. It doesn't help when you've got the legend Steve Spurrier speaking out against you recently. I am going to say they pleasantly surprised with maybe a 7-5 mark, and Billy Napier survives to next season, guys.
If he doesn't survive, though, Mark, like realistically, that schedule could eat them up. If he doesn't survive, who's the coach that you think Florida needs to go get? Because Florida's in a little bit of a tailspin here.
Jed Fish, hello on line one.
Well, Jed Fish has certainly been linked. He went to law school there or whatever. But they since Urban left, they haven't been the same. So like they'd probably be pretty desperate to get the right hire here. It hasn't worked so far. If Napier does not work out, who's the name?
Well, you would say Jed Fish, but Jed Fish already made his move. Would he dare leave? You know what's crazy, guys? Can you believe that Jed Fish and Howie Roseman were roommates at the University of Florida? Howie Roseman is the stud GM of the Philadelphia Eagles, put notes on Steve Spurrier's car every day so he could become a student manager on the University of Florida football team. I am that years old. I was there when those guys were doing that. They weren't football players, but they were brilliant football minds. Jed Fish is a name that a lot of Florida fans would be excited about. The question is, as an employer, as an employee, is that the move that you're willing to make? I do know that he's a name that would make a lot of Florida Gator fans incredibly happy.
Interesting. Good stuff. Marc Ryan, the Fan Upstate down in South Carolina, at Marc Ryan on air on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Thanks for the preview, man. We're excited for the game, excited for the tournament. Great catching up with you, and enjoy all of March Madness.
Love you guys. All the best, man. Take care.
There you go. Marc Ryan. Good stuff from him. And I love that that's how interested we are in the NCAA tournament. We end up spinning an interview into talking college football.
Well,
hey, Gators,
low scoring
schedule,
team,
man. What do we got here?
You took it that way. That was your question. Look, I think it's funny. Like, their men's team had a good year. They made the tournament. The 6 seed's pretty good.
Yeah.
Their women's team is undefeated.
They have the best women's basketball program in the country.
They're looking to win another national championship, and their fans are idiotic going to football game. Like, we're going to beat Bama. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're never going to be that team.
They had an okay run with Spurrier there for a couple of years. A few there.
Yeah, he had some great years, but I want to say those were 10-win seasons, which, again, is fantastic.
For South Carolina, yeah.
But for those people, they want the title. They want the playoff. They want the Final Four. They want to be in the title game. Like
Alshon Jeffrey and Lattimore.
Marcus Lattimore, right?
He was good. Yeah. They had some good players there. Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
He went 3 straight seasons of 11 wins.
11 is, that's phenomenal.
11-2, 11-2. Won the bowl game all 3 years, and then went 7-6, 3-9. He's out.
I don't know how Beamer still has a job. They were so bad last year.
Will Muschamp for 5 years, and then to Shane Beamer, 7-6, 8-5 is what he's been in his 2 years there. It's they're one of many fan bases. It's like football's bigger for them, but it's not their best sport. No, it's not. Focus on basketball, man. It's easier to win. All right, what do we got coming up next? I want to get to an interesting thing that came out yesterday. Is this finally the new media that we want to see? We'll get to that next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Do not
go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
James Thompson carries it over the line. Thompson, middle of the ice for Tuck, scores! Thompson finds Alex Tuck, and he too beats the cord clean, and it's a 3-1 Buffalo lead with 14:19 to go in the opening period.
Yeah, there's MSG there on the call of the Sabres over the Kraken. Swag, your Kraken are floundering. They're sinking to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. Playoff run not looking likely. Down 11 points with 15 games left in the season.
Lost 5 in a row, too. They're terrible at home.
Yeah, not good.
Still got to mortgage your house to buy a ticket to one of those games?
Yep.
You going to abandon this team and
Nope.
pick it? Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Nope.
All right. Who's stinking it up? The Kraken this year, brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Get your time back. Let the pros tackle those projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com.
Hey everybody, Sprague here. Is your home dealing with slow drains? Whether it's the kitchen sink or bathroom